Hi everybody, my name's thirteene and like everybody else, I've got problems. I wake up every day, I try to stare them down, put on a brave face, but yeah, tried to get through it. So my problem today is I look at a good deck and say, how can I make that absolutely terrible? I also broke Squirrel Dealer's website, but that's beside the point. Making good decks bad is kind of my specialty. So I've mentioned it a couple of times. Blue-white control is my deck. It's the one that I feel strongest with. I see the most lines. And funny enough, going way back in the day, sorry, I broke Squirrel Dealer. Going back in the day, I had bought into Legacy Miracles. And I love the deck. The deck is basically using Jace the Mind Sculptor to brainstorm, put cards back on top of your deck. Those cards are really good miracle cards, and you get Sensei's Divining Top to actually stack your deck. You can use Sensei's Divining Top to draw a card at instant speed. You could rearrange. You could put a Terminus on top if you're about to draw the Terminus and you don't want it yet. Just pay 1 mana, restack it. Well, we also got this fun little card called Counterbalance, which apparently I didn't make a thing for. Super off my game tonight. Get on over there, you. Counterbalance says that whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library and counter that card if it has the same converted mana cost as whatever card your opponent cast. So, there was a really hard lock where you'd end up running Jace the Mind Sculptor to put cards on top of your deck, Sensei's Divining Top to try to counter anything that your opponent had by stacking the top of your deck, and then just blind flipping Terminus if your opponent actually got to a point they had a board state. Well, I bought the deck, I sleeved it up, I was really excited, I took it to F&M, and then on Monday, Brad One texted me and said, "Bro, Sensei's Divining Top got banned in Legacy." Well, that felt horrible. So, kind of made a eulogy, basically made a burning pyre, was like, I literally just bought the Tundras, the Sensei's Divining Tops, all the Planeswalkers. Well, I was at least smart and picked up True Name Nemesis like 10 minutes after the announcement and moved over to Stoneblade and everything was alright, but, I'm kind of craving that feeling. Yeah, it just felt horrible. It's still like the number one thing in Magic that has like horribly backfired for me. So today, I'm going to try to use these 3 cards here to stack my deck in a way that simulates this awesome little artifact that costs 1 mana that's banned in Modern and Legacy. So Teferi's going to allow me to cast spells that are sorceries anytime that they can be an instant with this plus. Serum Visions will draw a card and let me scry 2. I'm hopefully going to be using this scry 2 to stack my deck to counter stuff with Counterbalance or set up my miracles, and then opt to trigger the draw instant speed. So we got a couple of fun cards here. We are running a very powerful suite of blue-white cards. So we end up getting Cryptic Command. I threw in a Gideon Blackblade. I thought it would be hilarious to give a Snapcaster Indestructible to block with and treat the Angels as just a powerful magic card. And yeah, so we're going to run this through a league. So I did break Squirrel Dealer. Not all of my utility tools are here. I need to pop into the league. We can go back to this. And I think, yeah, chat should be back up and working. So, yeah, that's the deck. The missing card in this view is Search for Iscanta. Still haven't really figured out flip cards. I tried to stream for like 10 hours a week on top of a full-time job. It has just been really hard to find downtime to actually work on the site. But we get a couple of really strong sideboard cards. Like, this looks so much like blue-white control. I ended up flagging it as competitive, but we've got Narset in here. We've got new Teferi. We've got Counterbalance X4. Like, I'm really excited to try to stack our deck. So coming back in Legacy, Miracles was one of the most top competitive, strongest decks in the entire format for a very long time. The argument for banning top was officially it made games go long, which it does. Like, a PT when you're playing for max duration, like every round, was a little rough, but it was a really powerful deck and had a lot of fun, interesting lines and just a ton of power to it. But yeah, so we're going to try to simulate that. I forgot where I was going with that. Just so off my game at the moment. Counterbalance should lend itself to some fun interactions. Where I was going. That deck was really well crafted. So if you look at our deck, we almost have a perfect curve here. That perfect curve is actually for Counterbalance. So we can try to stack our deck with the curve that we need. Great. So let's go to our actual match. I'd love to play first. One of the concessions I did make is we're running 4 Oust, I believe, and 3 Oust and 2 Path to Exiles. So Oust is going to allow us to kind of manipulate our opponent's top deck. We have Serum Visions to try to hit our land drops. We have a second land in both our colors. We're on the play. This is fine. It's having a Terminus in your opening hand means that you have to draw into one of your other 3 or potentially get a Jace to brainstorm it away. Oh, would you look at that? We hit our land, we hit a Counterbalance, and we hit a Terminus. So these are going to go on top. So in 2 turns, I'm going to draw Terminus. In 1 turn, I draw Counterbalance. That means that I can just Glacial Fortress into Counterbalance, and then Terminus away the board on turn 3. Exactly what I want to see. And it's Dredge, which means like all of that is just fantastic. Unfortunately, we have to remember the top of our deck. Playing this deck requires you to know your hand as well as the top of your deck. So I'm going to go ahead and run out the Counterbalance. We have a 6-drop on top that's never going to see the light of day. But hopefully our opponent's going to commit pretty hard into the Shriekhorn, dredge a bit, hit some Narcomoebas. Oh wow, they came out strong. They can dredge 5 and Conflagrate me. Alright, so they drew. Creeping Chill is rough. This is also a trigger, so I can't counter this. They have a Prized Amalgam. I'm not going to reveal my Terminus. And that Terminus actually isn't going to do much here. So Oust is actually going to allow me to put their cards back in their deck, which is hilarious. Ah, no Narcomoeba. Oh, they also don't have a second land. Okay, so I'm going to hit my Terminus. I'm going to try to quickly step through my draw steps so the opponent doesn't know. And of course, 4 didn't work. So we have Flooded Strand, and if opponent is planning on Cathartic Reunioning, I'm running out Narset first. We have our double blue. We need double white for Gideon. I also don't know what's on top of my deck, but Narset can minus pretty safely here. Ooh, Teferi's pretty good. Alright, so Teferi's going to make it so I can oust on their turn. I'm so happy. Counterbalance should be a free couple of counter spells here. Like, this deck is just so strong. It is kind of sad that our first showing for this deck is against a trigger deck that apparently is hitting none of their triggers. Colonnade is fine. That means I'm going to be Teferiing this turn. Narset can minus pretty safely. If they want to Conflagrate and deal 1 damage to Narset so that they can Cathartic Reunion, that's fine. They're on the Dredge plan. They're trying to play without their lands. I want to put the Terminus back in the deck, and I'm happy to reveal the Teferi. I don't think opponent knows about the current Teferi in hand. But 2 Terminus in your hand is already way too many. And then I can't do anything with the plus, but I don't want to bounce their Shriekhorn. Bouncing my Counterbalance is actually just horrible tempo, so I'm just going to go for the plus and hopefully set up for opponent's going to dredge at least 5 this turn. They do know about both. Oh yeah, so no, I didn't flip it to Counterbalance. Narset picked up the first one too. Okay, that's fair. Alright, so they have 2 Lootings in the bin, both Conflagrates. Hallowed Fountain is fine. So again, Teferi's going to make it so that I can oust and Terminus. In the meantime, though, that can just go down. Opponents had a really slow start for Dredge. It's turn 5. They can finally Cathartic Reunion, but they've got to deal with my Narset first. Creeping Chill's so good. So still no Narcomoebas, still no Bloodghasts. Oh, please Cathartic. I know you want a Cathartic. Okay, so Narset says that each opponent can't draw more than one card each turn, so they just discarded to discard. I don't want to show them whatever is on top with counterbalance, because if it's just a one drop and they hit a land or something, they wouldn't. They'd have to have the land in hand. Wait, they can still dredge with Cathartic Reunion? That don't seem right. It's a replacement effect. It's a draw effect. If you were to draw a card, instead dredge 3. I don't think that's working as intended. Alright, so I can oust here, put some prized amalgams back. I can just terminus. I think I'm actually just going to be ousting to get rid of the board state. If I don't hit a land and I have to minus Teferi, that's kind of bad. I honestly think that's bugged. And we're probably going to be milling out opponent here. Alright, honestly, that path is fine. So, Narcomoeba in hand does nothing. I kind of want to get rid of the prized amalgam here. The Terminus is going to put him on the bottom of the deck, which is fine. But I'm just trying to stem the bleeding. We have hit all 3 of the Creeping Chills. Oh boy, then that means I have to hardcast now. Alright, well, blue's a little harder in the deck. We do have Cryptic Commands. In the meantime, we can just Terminus back to back to back. We are below 10, which means the Bloodghast are all live, but I'm starting to think opponent doesn't have any. The cards on the bottom of the deck are currently Narcomoebas. I guess they do have multiple in hand, but... Oh, no, there's a Bloodghast. There's the other Creeping Chill. So if they do actually hit the other 2 Bloodghasts, I could be in trouble here. 2 more Bloodghasts is lethal. Alright, so knowing that they can dredge, we revealed a Hollowed Fountain, of course. There's a second Bloodghast. Then they might be taking a natural draw. I don't believe they have any lands in hand at the given moment. There's the Narcomoeba, which means the 2 prized amalgams are coming back. Opponent is down to 1 card in deck, though. There's the Bloodghast, so they have to have the land. No land. Okay, so just milled opponent out. That seems a little loose. Yeah, I really don't know what to make of that. Okay, well, plus and Terminus at combat. So I have to wait until attackers are declared. If they do have a land, which they should have a prized amalgam on the bottom, if I'm not mistaken. They haven't shuffled since we terminused. But if they do happen to make their land drop because they dredge life from the loam. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I really have no clue what's going on. I guess this is going to restock their deck. Okay, well, you had 6 natural draws there. I'm so confused. Well, Rip's coming in for sure. Could be an argument for timely reinforcements. I also really like Urza's Ruinous Blast if we can get up to it. This is going to be a maybe consideration. Sphinx's Rev, if we go that long, we're likely winning. Dispel doesn't really grab anything. Dovin's Veto can hit a Conflagrate flashback. Supreme Verdict can be a board clear, but so much of their board just comes back that's not winning. That's why Urza's Ruinous Blast is coming in as a maybe. Gideon Blackblade doesn't really do a whole lot, so he does actually give lifelink to another creature, which means our Snapcaster could be gaining us 2 life. Again, doesn't feel great. He seemed cute as a win condition because he had to have instant speed exile or multiple burn spells to kill him, and giving Snapcaster Indestructible is really hard to deal with the Terminus deck as it is. Plus, we're going to be hopefully Terminusing instant speed with Teferi like that last one. As far as cuts, I love all of these. Nah. Well, we brought in Rips and Urza's Ruinous Blast. I took out Gideon, and that puts us one card off. I feel like I missed one. Oh, the Sphinx's Rev. Alright, well, Counterbalance is going to hit everything but Conflagrate, and Creeping Chill triggers. It actually just might be one of these. The only thing that they're going to be casting is Faithless Looting, Cathartic Reunion, and, like, first half of Conflag. I guess Shriekhorns. Alright, well, we have Hate we can mulligan into. This is just 3 lands that don't do anything overly productive by themselves. That is an opt path cryptic. If we get Rip, it's so close to over, and I'm not going any lower than that. Jace easily goes to the bottom. Then the 2 things to know about Miracles. Number 1, your fetch lands will mess up your Serum Visions if you want to leave them on top. And 2, you always want to have a white source in case you top deck a Terminus, so I'm going to be fetching on turn 1, despite the fact it's going to take a shock. Alright, third land is fine. We have to make those as they are. Serum Visions. We drew another Terminus. Just lovely. Alright, well, Serum Visions will set up another draw. We don't need another land. Which means next turn we'll Island and Serum Visions, leave up the Hollowed Fountain in case we need a path. Alright, opponent has Blast Zone. That's a little spicy. They also did mill a Blood Gas. That Blood Gas will be a long-term problem. And I'm guessing we have a Cathartic Reunion here, discarding Dredgers. They also didn't discard Dredgers to the Faithless Looting, so they might have a slow hand. Oh, just Life from the Loam. Picking up Bloodstained Mire, Copperline Gorge, and Blast Zone. So sequencing here is, I could potentially draw a fetch land, but if I get a path or an oust, I want to use it. So I want to leave up the white. Alright, path is fine on top. We already have 4 lands, so this one can go to the bottom. Opponent should be dredging 3 here, which means that they had dredged past the Bloodghast anyway. But with no black lands, Jace Bounce is actually going to be really effective on this board state. Alright, they hit a Narcomoeba, but it's not triggering anything else. Opponent does have Nature's Claim, not Rave Revelation, so I don't have to worry about the flashback cost. Flashing back to Faithless Looting. And they did find a Dredger as well as a Prized Amalgam. Alright, so this path is okay, but nothing great. First and foremost, I don't want to give him a land, so I'm not going to do it. What? Dredge 5 hit 3 Creeping Chills. I call shenanigans, opponent. Shenanigans. I need to go get my broomstick. Like, this Narcomoeba has officially become a problem. Yeah, I'm actually curious now. So, population size was before dredging 5, so 42. Number of successes is 4. Sample size is 5, and 3 successes. 0.3% chance. Alright, that means that they can get a blood gas back at their leisure. For now, though, they're only dredging the life from the loam. They could potentially be thinking about going and getting a black source here. A black source would make it so that they could cast the stinkweed, but I'm assuming they have a way to loot. Either that or they have a bloodghast in hand. Either way, Jace be coming. I did make a note to not run out the fetch land because this is going to allow me to shuffle bad cards away. At the moment, though, it looks like I'm putting 2 Terminus on top of my deck. Oh, and that Urza's Ruinous Blast is just beautiful. So yeah, I'm okay to take 2 turns Terminusing. Essentially 2 blood gas is lethal. Opt is also going to allow me to set up Terminus on their turn. They found 3 more prized amalgams. And I'm going to let opponent do their worst. I have to actually go open the door for Rocky, so I'll be back in 10 seconds. Alright, I am back. So opponent ran out the Blast Zone. Blast Zone actually seems like it's been doing a pretty good job in Modern. I do not actually want to reveal this because odds are I'm going to be brainstorming with Jace again. So I brainstorm now. I can put a Terminus on top as well as something worthless, and I can opt in Terminus during their turn. Oh, all the Terminus. So my line is actually going to be... this is unfortunate. If I had an untapped land, I could actually run out to Fairy, draw a card, untap a Plains and an Island, opt into Terminus on their turn. For now, it looks like it's just going to be Terminus, Terminus. With a Flooded Strand. I need to be able to leave up Cryptic Command here because a Conflagrate will actually kill me. There be a Narcomoeba. I also have to keep in mind that they're getting 3 prized amalgams back. I'm likely taking the hit here despite the fact that the last Creeping Chill will also kill me. I'm basically looking for my rip. I need to look for my rip, clear their board, and hold up a counterspell for Conflagrate. Alright, this blood gas means that I actually do have to do something about their board state. And I'm kind of feeling tap draw in a nasty way. Tap draw is going to trigger Terminus. It's so rough that Conflagrate is lethal. They're actually 1 mana off of lethal here, so I think I am on tap bounce a land. So I bounce their Blast Zone. They won't be able to commit to it this turn. Tap down the team, and then I untap in Terminus. Interesting sequencing here. Knowing I have 2 Terminus on top of my deck really changes my lines. I want to be able to Terminus away all the prized amalgams so that they're not recursive threats. And getting rid of the actual threats that they have here are highest upside. I could also just untap an Urza's Ruinous Blast and just clear everything away. Alright, opponent has multiple land drops. Yep, they run back out the blast zone. Why, yes, I would like to reveal my terminus. Go away, little things. That's fine. I have another terminus coming. So sequencing here from opponent was they wanted to get the blood gas into the graveyard because it is haste, and I can two-shot it. I'm actually a little tempted to not cast it now, brainstorm, put it back on top, and then opt during their turn. That just might be a little cute. I have my trigger here, so I'll go for it. I can still set up another terminus at instant speed, so... Alright. Looks like we get a brainstorm again. There's our terminus, there's our opt. So what I'm going to do here is put Jace down second and then terminus. My sequencing is going to be, I'm going to reveal terminus when I draw it and then crack to get rid of the other Jace. Alternatively, I could have just opted and scribed Jace to the bottom. I still have to fetch anyway, so it's fine. This is going to go get a basic as it is. Yep. Being pinched on white here is a little painful. Like, the 3 creeping chills were just so painful that early. Alright, so that's game. What's going to happen is they're going to make their land drop. I know that they have them because of life from the loam. The blood gas come back. If I crack the fetch, I die, so I'm just going to do it now. Take the honorable way out. That was painful. I guess timely could be an argument because I'm expecting to go long, and that creeping chill is going to be taking away that much of my life. Creeping chill is a trigger, so that's not going to stop there. Search for his Kanta might actually be bad here. I could see that. I'm still keeping a pretty decent curve for me to reveal stuff with counterbalance, but this is going to make it so I have multiple chump blockers and gain some life. Because they're basically always going to have more life than me and more than likely more creatures. Alright, so I have opt to kind of set stuff up. I'm going to have white untapped, no terminus in hand. I have multiple ways to get cards back into their deck. This hand is pretty good to as close as it can be a really, really good hand. I'd need a Rip and I'd need a Sarah Visions, but like the second Alice is kind of just overkill. They won't be able to attack in at instant speed with anything that they have until we get hit by all creeping chills, so this is acceptable. Teferi's also going to make it so that these Alice are instant speed. I do love how the intent here was to play counterbalance, and our first opponent is Dredge, who basically casts 2 spells and then just uses triggers for the rest of the game. Seems about right. And we still haven't seen our rips. I think I originally had 3 in the board just because I didn't want to have to deal with it, but I also probably should have taken my Snapcasters out. Alright, opponent has a Blood Gas and a Prized Amalgam. Hey, speak of the devil. You're a bad card in the stack. Alright, so they make their landfall drop. Blood Gas comes back. They do decide to bring it back here since it's not a fetch land. Prized Amalgam's coming back at end step, which means end step I'm going to try to opt into a terminus. Zero value life from the loam, just that they can just get a dredge target around, wait for this dude to come back, and now we opt. Rip is fine. So they don't have a very good dredge engine going, which means they probably have the Nature's Claim in hand. I'm going to be taking the hit for 5 here, hopefully untap with a white source and double oust, or at least taking the hit here will enable my timely reinforcements. Yep. Ouch, the pain. We also don't know the top of our deck, so Terminus isn't out. The good old double Narcomoeba Faithless Looting with Rip Out. Alright, Field of Ruin. One thing to keep in mind is they actually do have white available here. Nature's Claim will make us gain 4 life. We'll go to 19, but we're still going to gain life. Those of you that aren't familiar with it, you gain 6 life if you have less life and get 3/1/1s if you have less creatures. So even if they Nature's Claim us here, we'll still be at least 1 life below, so we'll gain 6. That should shut off 2 Creeping Chills. We can kill the Bloodghast when Rip is out, so it'll just be gone forever. Oust hitting Brized Amalgam means that they'll pretty much never be able to cast it. Really? Okay. I'm fine with all that. Opponent likely has to have the removal. They don't. Alright. New plan. Get a Teferi, bounce the Prized Amalgam. Same effect as Oust, but get a draw card this way as well as set up future Ousts. And we hit our land drop. That's just so beautiful. So very beautiful. We don't win this game by attacking for 1. Yep. We win the game by sitting back and opponent realizing they're not going to have the gas to move forward. And we get a lock in the first one despite the fact it was not a counterbalance matchup. Alright, this is our white source on 1 for Terminus, as well as lands into Teferi, Jace, and a Miracle. This is always better in our deck, but after we Jace on 4, assuming we get the land and treat the Angels for 3 Angels, it's lethal on 5, pretty much every time you cast it. We also have interaction for their first creature, and it's looking like it's a Blood Moon deck. It's looking like a Blood Moon deck. Alright, so multiple white sources for Entreat's going to be rough. But I can at least pose the fact I'm going to have a basic as well as dodge Stone Rain here. Good old turn 2 Blood Moon against the 3 basic islands. Not having our white is quite painful, but we'll get by. We also don't have much need for double blue anytime soon, so we'll tell them what color we are and just get a land in untapped. Cryptic can always bounce the Blood Moon if we end up needing it to. And that's quite bad. Oh, their Utopia Sprawl fell off. They were really desperate to cast that. And look at that, Cryptic Command. Like a boss. Alright, so Arbor Elf was obviously off the top, otherwise that would have been their turn 1 play. That's not doing anything for you, opponent. Oh, they didn't even attack. That seems like a misplay. Even if they untap, they can't do anything. And a Sphinx's Rev. Alright. Well, I'm fully on board. This seems counterintuitive, but Arbor Elf costing 3 when they're missing their land drops is actually super important here. So Arbor Elf goes back to hand. And now we're going to have Cryptic Command up, which is just so nice. Yep, and the Utopia sprawled. So, funny enough, if they try to cast something big next turn, since they'll have 5 mana, I get to counter it and bounce the forest, getting rid of their Utopia sprawl. So, nope. Ah! I didn't do Jace. I was a little too quick on the 2 button. I just wanted to counter this Inferno Titan so badly I didn't think about what I was supposed to do for my turn. That's fine. So, counter target spell, return target permanent. We're going to counter that spell and return that permanent. There could also be an argument here to bounce the Blood Moon, because then Teferi comes down and Teferi can bounce Trinisphere. Oh yeah, opponent, you know you're locked out. We didn't even get a run out of our counterbalance there. Alright, Dispel doesn't do anything against the Sorcery Speed Land Destruction or the Blood Moons. Spreading Seas can, funny enough, actually fix our mana through a Blood Moon if we get timestamps correct, but that's likely not correct. Dovin's Veto shutting down basically anything but the turn 2 Blood Moon is just fantastic. Crucible probably gets an argument just because they've shown that they are on the Acid Moss, which means they're probably on Stone Raid and potentially on Avalanche Riders. Darset can come out. They're not really trying to draw cards. Entreat's going to be super hard to cast double white. We're going to be focusing on our blue. Oust also seems cute. Like, Oust City and turn 1 Arbor Elf actually feels relevant enough. I might actually be on the path line. If they're casting anything instant speed, that's probably... Sorry, not instant speed. If they're casting anything with something I care about at instant speed, it's going to be an Inferno Titan, and they're just going to get their 3 damage as it is. Gideon's cute and a fantastic clock if they try to lock us out. Snapcaster is awful versus the Trinisphere deck, so maybe make this trim. Narset can at least find us a new card. Maybe this. I don't like Snapcaster. They're likely on 4 Trinispheres, which means I need 6 mana to do anything effectively with Snappy Boy. Alright, well, this is at least a basic. Field of Ruin can set us up for a basic. We get to have Counterbalance rolling, and we have multiple 3-drops in our deck. Looks like somewhere in the ballpark of 7. We can keep this. I'd prefer to see another basic, but we are running 2 plains and 3 islands, which means they're going to be fetch lands. And if this is an Arbor Elf, I'm probably going to have to get rid of it. Alright, Utopia Sprawl isn't the worst. Glacial Fortress is quite bad, though. Again, this fizzles Stone Rain and also allows us to get a basic if we're expecting the Blood Moon, which it looks like Blood Moons are coming. Okay, Trinisphere's fine. And I do want a shot to draw my basic. I'm going to be paying the same amount of life either way, so... that works too. I still can't do anything, so pass on over. Again, this evades land destruction, which is their primary game plan, so it's the most effective thing I can be doing. Utopia Sprawl on the non-basic. Never quite right, although we did blow them out last time with a Cryptic, so I guess that makes sense. No Terminus today. Alright. I think I do want to set up for Teferi to be able to bounce things, so I'm grabbing my white source despite the fact Cryptic is 3 blue. Glacial Fortress is fine. And again, we're seeing why Snapcaster is just so weak here versus the Trinisphere. Counterbalance can come out, and hopefully we'll get free counters against anything that they're trying to do that's somewhat big. So like Terminus can counter an Inferno Titan, we can counter Acid Moss with any of our 4-mana Planeswalkers, or Cryptics, we can counter Stone Rain with any of our 3-drops. Yep, there's the Acid Moss, so I'd love a Jace on top. Serum Visions. Alright, well they got basic Island there. So, regardless of what I see, I'm going to be running out Snapcaster as a path target. Serum costing 3 mana is also so bad, but I'm actually on Field of Ruin right now. It gets rid of 2 of their mana as well as getting me another basic island. Then they're back to having 4 mana. They'll probably have another Acid Moss, but we still have another land drop. We have a cantrip. Glorybringer. Alright, what do our 5-drops look like? We have a Teferi. Alright. Teferi? Flooded Strand. Alright, well, Flooded Strand is still a basic, as well as a way to shuffle. When we know the top of our deck, it's significantly better to know what you have to shuffle away. So I can Path if I need it. I can run out Snap after the Exert trigger, and then I can follow it up with a Path. This Flooded Strand means that I can do a lot of this while still being able to fetch. Go get another basic, as well as try to counter this, see if we want the card. Inferno Titan. Okay, Terminus. Polluted Delta. Alright, they got big stuff coming. So I can Path here, it'll save 4 life. I can just Snap. I think I'm Pathing the Glorybringer, because I can at least chump this. After the attack trigger, I can flash it in. So we get a Path you. Opponent also can't do anything else for turn, so we'll go get another island, because we don't want to draw that Polluted Delta. Oust is not horrible again, so I'm not going to be doing anything with this mana right now, so I'm going to Hollowed Fountain. And then it still costs 3 to oust, so go back on top of the deck, buddy. Second from the top. So we have a turn or two to draw counter magic. Or just a Jace to Terminus, so it was second from the top, they drew the top card, so Inferno Titan's on top. If we Jace and just put a Terminus on top, we'll hard counter it. I love Counterbalance. Alright. Opt. Lovely. Another 1 mana cantrip. Well, this means I can Serum Visions and try to hit Inferno Titan. I'm assuming that they top deck the Stone Rain and they've had a blank in hand for a while, so I'm going to go for the hard counter here. Perfect. So I don't need a second Counterbalance, but Terminus should counter their Inferno Titan, assuming that I play this correctly. But if they just slam any other creature like a Hazoret, then I get to just Terminus it away anyway. Also, for those of you not familiar with playing with Trinisphere, Trinisphere always wins. It's the last check in layers, which means that if you delve something to 1 mana, you still have to pay 3 mana for it thanks to Trinisphere. If there's a Thalia in play or a Baral and you're doing random math numbers, it always costs at least 3. Oh. Alright, so this costs 5, which means that I can't counter it with Terminus. I don't have the mana to do anything good. So I think this means I have to stop on my upkeep. I'm kind of okay redrawing the Counterbalance. So I don't want to opt below it and cast the Terminus. That doesn't seem good. If I actually draw into the... I don't know. So I know Trinisphere is always supposed to be able to win, and this is just an alternate cast. So I'm 100% expecting Trinisphere to win, but if I can actually opt into Terminus with 5 mana, I just know I can't. I'm not even going to try. And either way, opponent just setting us back like that means that if they do try to Inferno Titan here, then I still get to hit it with Terminus. So I don't know what their logic was. I guess they technically... Yeah, I don't know what the logic was there, because I feel like we're in the exact same position we were last turn. Alright, so Glorybringer is a live draw. I'm going to say no to that, just because I have to Terminus it away. Then that means Inferno Titan coming in is going to put me to 3. I don't believe this list plays Bolt, because they're on the Trinisphere plan. I think it's just all land destruction and primal commands. Yep, cost 3. As I expected, which means next turn comes down the Inferno Titan. We go down to 3 off the trigger. I have to oust it and then draw into a actual counter magic. I guess I could Terminus it away, but yes, I'd love to see. It's another Counterbalance, lovely. So my upkeep stop is going to be me opting, looking for a land to oust this. Because I don't want that Counterbalance, and I can't cast that Miracle, so... Alright. I think we just run it back and try to be a turn faster. Urza's Ruinous Blast is actually looking pretty good. If we get up to the 5 mana and just exile all the Blood Moons off of a single Plains and Trinispheres, that seems great. Maybe Tremor Counterbalance. Like, it did show what its power is, but we just fell behind on the land destruction a little bit too hard. We had a ton of expensive cards in hand. Like, maybe it's just a Terminus. Whatever, too late. I'd love to play first. This hand is awful. This hand is alright. Don't need another opt. So I can run out Flooded Strand and go get a something, or I can Colonnade. This is going to come in tapped anyway, and I don't necessarily need to try to opt into anything. This does open me up to land destruction, but I don't have a second Flooded Strand, and I really don't want to mulligan lower versus the deck that is just going to try to destroy all my lands. Opponent doesn't have a 1-drop, which means no Arbor Elf or Utopia Sprawl, so they're probably laying on a ton of 3-drops plus. Polluted Delta is fine. And again, I'm going to go grab basics. It doesn't change my life total depending on the order that I pick these up in. So I'd rather draw the lands at this point. Exactly like that. So this can go get me a basic Plains. This is just going to be my basic island. Then if they have Blood Moon or Trinisphere, Teferi can just pick it up. Shocking it into play, huh? Do you have bolts? I mean, you can't do anything instant speed. Yep, as expected. And I'm not actually overly afraid of Blood Moon at this point, since Teferi will just pick it up. Although this is a free Field of Ruin, so free plus, free Field of Ruin. They can't do anything during my turn. Ooh, although I kind of want to leave up my mana. Yeah, I'll leave up my mana. This does allow me to double oust if for whatever reason I need to. Otherwise, it allows me to Field of Ruin at instant speed during their combat step or whatever I need to. They won't be able to do anything at their end step as long as Teferi's still alive. This Teferi is so good, but I really wish he had an ultimate. Even if it was just mediocre, like draw 2 cards for 7. Yep. Guess that shut off my Field of Ruin. I probably should have thought a little bit harder through that, because now I can't Field of Ruin, and it's not just free. Oh well. Whenever an opponent decides to run something out, I can draw. Also means that they're on the Blood Moon plan as they're targeting my basics. Colonnade is technically a threat as well as 2 colors. So I'm really getting the read that opponent's trying to Blood Moon me. Alright. Now, this time I'm still going to set them up. I really, really, really don't want to, but I do need a basic to fetch in the future. They can float a mana here, they'll have 3 mana, but if they run something out, then I can bounce it, so perfectly okay in every single one of those standards. I need something to bouncy bounce. Oh, that's a perfect target to bounce. No, I'm not going to Terminus that. I want to bounce that and draw a land. Really, deck? That's how you're going to play me? Now I don't have Oust available to me because I didn't plus Teferi. See, I'm running 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 20. Including his Kanta, I'm running 26 lands. And now that gets to kill Teferi. Oh my gosh. So lucky, opponent. So very, very lucky. Like, I don't think he understands how lucky he is. And I can't even counterbalance. My out is Oust into land, counterbalance. Yeah, this is over. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 17 of 24. And 4 of those were fetched. I feel like odds have been really against me in these last 2 streams. Like when I pulled this up, there's a 0.3% chance to hit 3 Creeping Chills at that moment. That's just ridiculous. Alright. That is awful. That is just so bad. Okay, that's fine, although I'm not happy about the Terminus. That actually sets things up fairly nicely. So again, oh, but I'm not going to draw it. So what I'm doing is I'm floating that Serum Visions. If opponent looks like they're going to be a little bit slower, like Tron, it means I can go draw that Serum Visions. Oh boy. Then I'm going to run it out like this. The fetch can screw up my scries, but I really, really need to hit the right cards here. So I don't think I actually want that as content. I definitely didn't want the Snapcaster Mage. Yeah, opponent's going to have Tron here. Alright, so what can I actually draw into versus the turn 3 Nut Tron? I can draw into Cryptic, but I'm a turn away from casting it because Fair Magic. Gideon will get exiled by just about anything. Counterbalance can hit Worm Coil with a Terminus, but I have a Terminus in hand for that. Yeah, so what I'm doing is drawing Search for his Kanta, hoping that they don't have gas, and then hopefully start filtering in something a little bit better for myself. So Glacial Fortress comes down. Run out. Search for Azcanta. And probably concede. Yep. Okay, that's beatable. That is 100% beatable. Alright, now search helps us to set up our miracles. I would actually love to draw that Teferi, so I get to run out this Teferi, run out of tap land, bounce the Worm Coil, and then start tucking with actual Teferi. So I like that. I mean, it's a plan. Teferi Tribal, what up? If I had to back up. All the fun stuff goes away when Tron's around, though. Hi. Hi, Eugene. Doing good, bud? Long time no see? Yeah, that's fun, fair magic. That is super fun, fair magic. Like, what'd you do? They had 10 mana on turn 4 with a Worm Coil and a Eugene. Jace is technically a thing, so I can Big Teferi and Tuck. If I just Jace and plus, they have to -4. Okay, so what I think I'm doing is Jace and plus, so the plus can't kill him. If they plus Eugene, and then that will open me up to Teferi Tuck, a 7 Ugin. And then that turn, Jace can brainstorm and hopefully draw me into a Cryptic Command. Well, it's like, of course, I'm playing against the land destruction deck before all this goes down, so... Like, they couldn't have just matched my Tron opponent against him. Like, what? Oh my gosh. I don't know what to do with myself. Alright, so Eugene's going after Jace, which means I can start battling that war. I do actually have to update my match record. I do technically have a Field of Ruin that I can draw into. No. Well, that's going downhill quickly because they turned Tron into a prison deck because, you know, people didn't already hate it enough. So now I'm officially locked out. Like, just... How is this a thing? Alright, Crucible of Worlds gets that engine going. Stony Silence makes it so that they can't cantrip. Spreading Seas makes it so that I just hit one of their lands. Counterbalance is just absolutely abysmal in this matchup because all their stuff is expensive. I can hit a couple of their cantrips, but Stony Silence will shut it off. So I'm quite easily making this exchange in my sideboard. That's at least the logic I'm approaching with it. Urza's Ruinous Blast won't hit anything that I actually care about. Yeah, Dovin's Veto will hit their Planeswalkers. I don't have a ton of these, but that makes Snapcaster's Mage's value go up. Teferi is going to Narset is going to shut off their early game cantripping. Gideon is actually a clock. One of the biggest issues when playing against decks like Tron is you don't actually get a legitimate clock going. Teferi actually doesn't do a whole lot, bouncing a permanent or... I know it's not permanent, but bouncing is only going to hit Worm Coil in the best case, which we just saw. And they're like, okay, whatever, I'm just going to drop an Ugin and then draw into a Karn, and then draw into another Karn. So that just isn't really relevant. Sphinx's Rev, I'm not a huge fan of this because, I mean, I guess this can draw me into some counter spells. Terminus is just awful. This is probably just coming out. This can hit Nulamog and it can hit Worm Coil, but that's about it. We have Paths. I actually might want Terminus over Oust. Yay, Tron! Yay, Tron! Alright, well, this has a game plan. So again, you always want white on turn 1 so that you can Terminus in the near future. Spreading Seas is going to hit whatever Tron land. I'm probably waiting on the Spreading Seas, though. because Spreading Seas is going to hit whatever piece they feel least protected. You typically run out the thing you have redundant pieces of first. So I'm probably putting an Ambush Viper Snapcaster out, as Dovin's Veto and Cryptic are the only things that I want to recast, and 6 mana, they're going to be hard casting their threats anyway. Yeah, so they have multiple mines. So whatever they go tutor up here is going to be the first thing that I hit. My life total doesn't matter, so just going to go ahead and grab those. Run out good old 2 mana 2/1. Ooh, Narset's interesting. So Narset doesn't shut off the expedition map, but it does shut off future chromatic stars and stuff like that, unless they stagger it across our turn. But Narset, more importantly, also is card advantage for us, as well as card selection. So Stony Silence is good. I'm probably going to be running out Spreading Seas and Search for his Kanta next turn, so that's what I'm planning on doing to make most efficient use of my mana. If I could have played Stony Silence here and taken away the Expedition map, that's the clear choice, but seeing as how I already have a hate piece for next turn and something to set up in the future. Alright, well, they're a little ways off of that. Alright, I'm actually looking at Jace now. Teferi Tech Oblivion Stone's also kind of interesting, because I took the Oblivion Stone, and if they pop Expedition map, they're going to lose it. I'm just going to go for Jace. $100% okay to consider both of these lines or just hold that up, but for now I'm just going to try to set up the best I can. There's a Field of Ruin, which validates my decision. There were plenty of cards I could have drawn into that were pretty decent. I don't have a current fetch mechanic, but I'm going to use this Field of Ruin to filter to the following turn. In the meantime, put a little pressure on. Yeah, you don't have Tron active yet. You got to pay 2 mana. Alright, so they tutored up a power plant. They run it out. And a relic. Yeah. Snapcaster was an obvious 2/1 here. Alright, then this means that I can brainstorm, tuck away 2 cards that I don't want, namely the Slow Colonnade and the Shock, because I have a fetch for a future turn. This is going to be Field of Ruin, hold up Dovin's Veto. Field of Ruin's actually going to ramp... that is just so awkward. I can bounce the O-Stone. Whatever. I think I'm going to just keep him off Tron for as long as possible. I have plenty of threats here. Alright. Fair. I'm glad they didn't make me keep clicking on my graveyard throughout the game, so perfectly okay with that. And funny enough, they're actually going to have to blow this during whatever step they want to, because, yeah, otherwise I get untapped with my Planeswalkers. Yeah, that's all fine. Honestly, don't care. Oh, and that's a clock. That's a clock right there. And that's a pretty good card, too. So, I don't have the Jace. The Flooded Strand loses a ton of value. This is 3 mana available to me if I run out Gideon. So I can Spreading Seas, but they won't have Tron. I can search for Iskanta. They're going to have 6 mana for Nugan. So, probably just Gideon. We're going to plus with no targets because his 6 is exile any permanent. And then I get to hold up the Dovin's Veto. Sylvan Scrying is fine. We're probably just going to Spreading Seas whatever they get. Got another power plant. Delvin's Veto lined up for the new prison lock piece that I don't understand why that was printed. Alright, so we have Snapcaster live now, which means we're going to Spreading Seas that target, set them off of Tron for another turn. We have 4 mana available, which means we have Cryptic and Serum, so obvious choice. Don't really need another Snapcaster to return this Cryptic on, and another land is perfectly fine by me. This land also gives me the option next turn of shuffling away the Snapcaster. Although, I guess if I'm Crypticing or Dovin's Vetoing, I've got to do that anyway. That may have been missequencing. I should have cracked the Flooded Strand before the Serum Visions. Yep, opponent, you can trip away. We made it to turn 7, so that means that you didn't do your Tron stuff like you did game 1. Yeah, this dude Gideon has been busted for me every time that I've seen him. You don't have the ability to protect him from exile effects if you don't want to make him a creature, but honestly, for 3 mana, I can only expect so much. So opponent's going to have Tron if I let this go, and they're going to gain 4 life. Honestly, gaining 4 life is the biggest issue there. Okay, my life total doesn't matter, and I have actually been squeezed on white, so we're going to snap here, and Dovin's Veto. Where'd it go? Stop moving things, Moto! Alright, so then they have 6 mana again. I can hit them for 10, though. So they actually have to answer permanent? Okay, no, so opponent's just going to die here. Oh, Ghost Quarters live. Never mind. I missed that. Do any got a Walking Ballista? Okay. So, first things first, we're going to make this Snapcaster indestructible. Great. So, land for turn, this is going to be 5. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That leaves 2 mana available. I'm 1 off from Teferi bounce. Lame. So like I can Teferi and bounce the Walking Ballista, and then they can't kill the Snapcaster. I'd have to be able to activate the Celestial Colonnade and then swing in for 10. But just slightly off of that. So I think that means I'm going to be on Serum Visions and see if I can find a... I don't want any of that. So now I have to hold up Cryptic and swing in. Lovely. There could have been an argument to go after Karn, just that they can't go get Mycosynth Lattice and just kill us out of the game. But now I have enough for Teferi. Gonna bounce that regardless, just because I think they're trying to commit into it. They can make a giant one, but if they do, I've got Cryptic. Also takes all their shenanigans off the table. If they make a land drop, I can even Cryptic and bounce a land to take them off of Tron. Ensnaring Bridge. Okay. Gotta love how he's tutoring up Ensnaring Bridge versus the blue-white deck, though. Alright, so I don't think he's actually made his land drop yet. Let's see what they do with Sanctum. He goes and gets Nulamog, makes sense. Alright, so I can move to my turn. Gideon will just become indestructible. Activate Colonnade, bounce the bridge. So all of that's fine. Turn target permanent, draw card, bounce bridge. Then any removal but Terminus is live. Oh, that's fine too. Oh, no, I can't pay for it. No! Alright, whatever. Oh, that works too. So, white, Stony Silence. They have no instance thanks to Teferi. Yeah, that's fine. Colonnade's gonna kill you. Oh, Ghost Quarter. I keep missing obvious things. No, it hasn't. I actually had to cut 2 versus Tron, but to be fair, we played against the Arbor Elf Utopia Sprawl land destruction deck where the average converted mana cost is like 4. We played against Tron, and we played against Dredge, which means that like none of those matchups was this even remotely live. Oh man, so like I can cash out Gideon and kill the Walking Ballista, but then my Celestial Colonnade can't kill anything. I can cash out Gideon and get rid of Karn, but that doesn't really accomplish anything either. I don't have a live out for Nulamog. So I think what I'm doing is just cashing out versus Karn, because that takes at least the combo kill off the table. Then I can Terminus to get rid of the Nulamog. This is so bad. Like, game 1, they seriously just had to have the most nuts Tron hand ever. So then that's 5. If they Ghost Quarter me, I have planes I can go get. So as long as they actually Ghost Quarter me, I can run out the search for Azcanta. Yep. Alright, well, opponent, you have 1 turn to kill me. Which sucks, because you can probably do it. Knowing how this has been going, they're just going to Karn and then Mycosynth me. Although Mycosynth is going to turn off all their stuff too. I guess that wasn't a threat. Maybe I should have gone after Walkie B. But now I get to untap and actually activate his Kanta. Find any kind of a threat that can just close out the game. Yep, makes sense. Lovely. Alright, well, my deck does not like me, apparently. Go away, you two threats. I honestly can't believe how bad this has gone. They had Nature's Claim for the spreading seas. They get a Nugan. Look at that. We have one land left in our deck. This can hit like any of our threats now. Amazing. Alright, so Snap is actually kind of live. So Snap lets me Cryptic. Yeah, Snap at least lets me Cryptic. May as well. If I get an Entreat the Angels, we're doing a massive Entreat the Angels. There's an Ancient Stirrings. Reveals a Karn. Absolutely ridiculous. Alright, so on the plus side, they cannot recast Nugan. Oh, yeah, they can, because Karn only costs 5. This deck is so fun and fair. So they have enough to recast Nugan. They haven't activated this yet, though, so 100% I got a Snap Cryptic Bounce. Or maybe Cryptic Draw. I don't know, what does chat think? Cryptic Draw is going to give me a better out. Cryptic Draw is going to keep me alive. I think I need to play to win. Anyone? Alright, looks like I'm drawn. Here I go drawn again. My out is apparently draw plains. It's a pretty plains, but it's a plains. They should still have Ensnaring Bridge in hand. So I know it's in their hand. Oh, that's amazing. I think that's a good card. I'm pretty sure that's a good card. So they get a Blast Zone it back away, but it cantrips and it gets rid of their land. I guess it also gets rid of my Snapcaster, but... Yep. Oh my gosh, this has been just so bad. Like, even with the Spreading Seas up, they're currently at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. And I'm at 11. Teferi's kind of an interesting one. So Ugin will be able to kill it, but at least be able to redraw. Oh, I should have picked up the Spreading Seas. Oh, I guess they actually would have just countered it. Counterbalance is going to just get wrecked by the Blast Zone. Everything's so bad. So very bad. I think they've already dealt with Big Teferi. I know I have another Jace left, but Nugan can just kill it. Why are their cantrips better than mine? Oh, lovely. Now they get Big Ugin too. I'll give it one more draw, but this is like super over. Super over. Just decides to shoot me. Teferi's not even worth it. and he doesn't attack. Okay. Alright, well, Colonnade could technically do something. Colonnade actually does give me a full turn to get out of this. I didn't even think about that. It's 4 damage to the face flying. May as well plus to fairy, though. There's no harm, no foul. So I think opponent actually needs another Ugin to kill me. Yep. Alright. Show me what you drew. Something big. Really? Alright, so now they can exile my Celestial Colonnade. Like, absolutely ridiculous. This... Well, they didn't activate him yet. Okay, 2 to me is fine. No, don't do it! Don't do it! Okay, opponent's just milking it now. They went for a tower. Honestly, if they forget about... nope, there it is. Is there anything that I can still get out of this? Because the Colonnade actually wasn't out I didn't think of. Entreat would come pretty close. Like, really? Whatever. Alright, so Tron opponent that didn't really understand how his deck worked, but just hit natural Tron and then literally just cantripped into the exact right cards at the end. Gotta love it. Dude, Tron is like absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand how they put a 1-card combo to prison out your opponent into Tron. Makes me want to go back to my Jund lands list. That was just like 4 Fulminators, 4 K commands, 2 Last Hopes, Life from the Loam, Field of Ruin, Ghost Quarter, and just be like, no lands for you. Just be absolutely horrible, but no lands for Tron opponent. Now, hopefully we get a matchup where it's not just triggers or giant things. I'd love Counterbalance to actually do something, seeing as this was the deck. But I'm going to pull a Brad one from last night and get repaired against the same Tron opponent. I just know it's going to happen. Yeah, so thoughts so far, though, Narset actually seems a little unnecessary in this deck. She is a very powerful card, and I've been a huge fan. And I've been trying to wait for a good price on a Japanese foil of her, but it's like $300 right now on eBay, and TCG players completely bought out. She is just such a fun card, but I don't really think she fits this strategy very well. I guess it stops your opponent from drawing multiple cards when you're trying to make slow attrition counters, but... that's not what Modern is. Yeah, Oust has also been a little awkward. It was decent against Dredge. I don't want to say really good because it wasn't. It was decent. I also love this hand, by the way. No Terminus in it already makes it kind of a pass. I have a cantrip, lands, search, like cantrip into search while having white available on turn 1 and no Terminus in hand is essentially as good as it gets for this deck. We also have multiple Flooded Strands to fill our graveyard for the search for his Kanta, and we get to play against humans. Alright, so they are on the Aether Vial start. We also have Oust and a wide assortment of cards that they don't necessarily know about. As I've stated before, you always want to leave white available in case you draw into Terminus. So getting the white, get it set up for Serum Visions. Drew into Cryptic. Teferi actually might be mildly on the slow side here, plus Aether Vial kind of is a hard counter for Teferi. I think I'm going to bottom him for now, thinking I'm going to be on the 1-for-1 removal plan. Being able to oust at instant speed would have been nice, but whatever. I'm likely getting a planes off of this, ousting and then holding up Path to Exile, or getting freebooted and then taking care of the freebooter. Serum Visions is fine. I kind of want to put it to the bottom, though. It would be a fine card to draw, but I'm looking for something to set up my graveyard a little bit better than that. As well as just like a firm board state presence. Like Gideon has got to be next to impossible for their deck to handle. Like a search on 2 isn't bad, but more than likely going to be trying to 1-for-1 here. This is likely Champion into Thalia's Lieutenant. Oust into Path is going to just keep that all nice and squeaky clean. I mean, either way, I'm keeping their board in check, and then we're going to have a stronger endgame. As well as just always having the out to draw into Terminus. He took Search. Well, that's a thing. I believe I'm actually just on Oust here. This card is really bad late game. And then I can hold up the Path if I need it. If opponent's going to activate Vial on 2, I'm likely just pathing this Kitesell Freebooter, because it can be a Meddling Mage naming Path. It could also be a Thalia that shuts off my instants and sorceries when I only have 1 mana available. Alright, so I am inclined to not take this damage. Likely going to flash in Thalia or Meddling Mage here. Oh, they didn't. Okay, so their hand must be slightly on the weak side. But in the words of the immortal meme, this is fine. Snapcaster on Path or Oust is also still quite good. Opponent actually has a ton of mana. They're running both basics. Another freeboots. You freeboot away, sir. Oh, they only have 1 card in hand. That's why they went after my searches. They knew they weren't going to kill us very quickly. Alright, well, I am in the ballpark of just run it back with Snap. So Path is going to be live. I can't really cast anything else. Actually, I might... If I had blue available, I might be a little more inclined to Snap Serum Visions. Getting rid of this Horizon Canopy is also really tempting because they've gone down on cards significantly, but they're just going to crack it in step anyway. Getting rid of this Cavern is also a little tempting. Yeah, if I'm only looking at 2 damage here, I'm likely just going to Field of Ruin the Cavern just so I have counter magic up. Also, I need the double blue. Ouch. I would like my counter magic back, sir, and this is likely a strip mine. Counterbalance. Alright, well, we came here to counterbalance, right? I'm pretty sure that's what we came here to do. What's going to hurt so bad is opponent's going to just try to cast something. Okay, that's pretty painful too. Opponent's just going to try to cast something. We're going to reveal a Terminus, and then they're going to flash in a Meddling Mage and say we can't cast Terminus. What's a Vial? Oh, sorry. That Vial. I did reveal a Terminus. Alright, well, I'm taking beats for 5, then hopefully they don't have a meddling mage. Why, yes, I would love to cast this. Oh, opponent. I got my eye on you. Oh, that is... Oh, alright, so I can snap and target the image, but... Wow, that is just... Them's the beats. So I don't have another draw for turn, so... How dead am I if I just don't do anything but run out of chump blocker? So this is likely going to be a 4-4. I'm going to be getting hit for 3 in the air. So I'll likely get hit for 3, maybe 4. Yeah, that's fine. I think I'm on Serum Vision just because I do have the Cryptic command. And Serum Visions might actually set up for the Terminus. Alright, so Drew Teferi. The Jace doesn't really do anything versus their deck. The Hollowed Fountain is actually a blank for Counterbalance, but they have the Aether Vial live, so they're likely not going to be casting anyway. This at least is going to allow me to Cryptic and tap down the team, get back my Terminus, then I can Jace, Brainstorm, put it back on top. Should I come? Like... I don't know. We're definitely on the back foot here. That was a really good play from opponent to take our Terminus while it was in hand. I could also just Jace minus on the Kite Cell. They'll have to send damage to it. I'll get my Terminus back. Then if they don't kill it, I can Brainstorm and Cryptic into... none of it's good. None of it is good at all. Alright, so I think opponent's tanking here because they're trying to figure out if they draw a Mantis Rider, if they want to risk a 3-drop on it. Because we did put a card on top with Counterbalance. So this does lead to some really interesting mind games and trying to set up correct board state. One of the reasons I really was enjoying the Legacy Miracles deck. But without top, it's just so hard to set up. But like, I'm going to be taking probably 4 damage here. Sorry. Oh wait, am I just dead? I don't think I actually calculated the flying damage. I acknowledged it, but I didn't add it. So taking 3, I'm going to block that. 4, 5, 6, potentially 7. So if they have any human, I'm dead to the Shockland on top. Yeah, opponent just needs to actually make a decision. They're clearly ahead here. I missed way too many land drops. It really should have been me ousting the Kite Cell Freebooter this turn. But I would have just drawn a second Jace and then been in the exact same position I am this turn. Okay, I'm actually thinking opponent had to have stepped away because if they draw a Mantis Rider, they need this on 3 where they can cast most of their deck off of the 3 mana that they have. So they can't be thinking about it at this point, but Counterbalance does lead to some interesting board states where it's like you're trying to next level and put something good on top. Alright, now I'm starting to think it's me that disconnected. All right. Well, I don't think it's me. I am dropping some frames though. How are you guys looking over there? Like, chat, how are we doing? Are you getting a ton of drop frames? I've had 43 since the start when I typically don't have any. But opponent's gone and I have internet, so great. Thank you very much, Sriracha. I am gonna mute Slack though. So I don't know what to make of this. Is there something fun we can do in the meantime? Counterbalance is feeling quite awful here. Like, so far our matchups have been Dredge, where they just try to get their triggers. I also need to revisit that Narset stopping. That's actually probably a decent question to Google right now. So I don't know why this worked. So it replaces the draw, but it should still be a draw. Huh. Interesting. All right, well, I guess that worked the way it was supposed to, but it still doesn't seem right. Hey, opponent came back. So they went up to 3, and they had a Reflector Mage, so I'm dead. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. Timely Reinforcements comes in. Supreme Verdict is coming in as another card that Meddling Mage has to name. Urza's Ruinous Blast, exact same reasoning. So the only thing that they should have in their deck that can survive this is Thalia, potentially Gaddock Teague, and potentially Lavinia, although I think most lists are off Lavinia at this point. Sphinx's Rev won't do anything. We're either going to keep up or we're not going to keep up. Counterbalance feels awful versus the Aether Vial deck, but we need to have some number in here. That's our strategy. That's what we signed up for. Gideon, again, seems interesting. Like, I love the fact that I can give a Snapcaster Mage indestructible and just have a permanent blocker. The flyers are a problem, though. Teferi also seems slow. Like, tucking a single creature doesn't seem that relevant. And if it is something along the lines of a Teague, then I can't cast the Teferi anyway. And I think that's about it. Currently down a game versus humans. Yeah, it's just been so awkward because Dredge didn't want to cast. Tron was casting stuff outside of the range of our counterbalance. The other deck was destroying our lands, which means that like our curve, despite trying to match multiple things, which is one of the reasons why Chalice is in a bad spot at the moment, as well as I know I was talking to Seraphix about this on Brad One's stream last night. Spell Snare doesn't feel like it has a ton of targets. Yes, it has relevant targets, but a lot of the diversity of this format is pushing it to these upper ends of the curve. So like there's multiple 1-drops, 2-drops, 3-drops, 4-drops, then some number of 5-drops. Almost everything on the higher end like Gurmag Angler or Hollow One are cheating the mana cost, which they get around Fatal Push, and that exact same reasoning is why Spell Snare ends up not being in a great spot. Counterbalance needing to match both a zone and a converted mana cost is making it quite awful. This new Teferi, I thought we could have some way to open this up, but as long as we're waiting for opponent, I can go ahead and go to Scryfall. If we go to Oracle Text Draw, type Sorcery, color blue, format modern, and CMC is less than 3, we have 18 cards. Ancestral Vision has to be suspended. You get a draw if you have a Merfolk, but it makes it an island. you have to be able to attack, proliferate, draw a card, X, draw 3, discard 3, draw a card, clash to get it back, draw X. Like, none of these cards actually do anything amazingly to stack the top of your deck, where that's what Sensei's Divining Top was trying to do. So, I mean, this did start off as a good deck. We have a lot of powerful cards, but the counterbalance half seems bad. I honestly don't think anybody's going to catch that as a surprise, but every single matchup we've played tonight, I've wanted to trim on counterbalances just because they're not relevant. Alright, so this is a tap land into counterbalance. Hopefully they're not on Vial. Terrible Terminus in hand, and no way to trigger Urza's Ruinous Blast. Yeah, this has to be a mulligan. It's close, but it just has to be. Then coming back, we have no Terminus in our hand. We have a white source on 1. We have multiple cantrips to set up. This is looking significantly better. Yeah, opponent must have had something in real life come up. But looking back at this, it's like, what are you supposed to set up your deck with? Like, you have to put a -1/-1 counter to draw a card, to draw 2 cards. You have to tap 4 untapped creatures to draw 3 cards. This is fun, but it's not going to work for Teferi shenanigans. I guess another thing I could do is, instead of Oracle Text draw, I could have Scry. So that's not even playable. And that's about it. I mean, you might hit some... No. Yeah, it seemed like Teferi would be a good home for counterbalance, but it's not shown to be that way. Alright, well, opponent's still gone and tanking. I did try to have some fun with the Exile clause. Oust was already seeing a slight amount of play, but even then we don't get a ton. So it's like exile target white permanent, 3 mana for an artifact or an enchantment, 2 mana for an artifact or an enchantment. Deck and Stone is always a fun card, but unless you're running like Stony Silence, that actually could be a fun deck. New Karn with Stony Silence and Deck and Stone. I mean, it's not good, but it's something I would make. Yay, opponent's back. They did keep their hand, though, which is quite bad for me. Getting our white source for future Terminus. Really? Terminus on turn 0? Why must you hate me, deck? Alright, so I'm looking at this, and I like drawing the path, and I have Serum Visions and Path on turn 2. And then I can draw into the land and Teferi, or I can just draw the land now and get Counterbalance running. Not knowing what opponent's on is kind of a drawback here. I think I want to Counterbalance just because that's what we're trying to do today. And then I can, when I shuffle, I'm going to lose this anyway, so it can just go to the bottom. Turn 0, draw Terminus. Really, deck? That's how you're going to do me today? Alright, well, this means Counterbalance is significantly worse than I wanted it to be, but here we are. I'd prefer not to lose a life at this point. We already have our white for Terminus, and I need blue for Counterbalance and blue for Cryptic Command, so setting up for the best draws in our deck. And they have the Cavern. Another reason why counterspells just probably won't get there. Teferi pick up Aether Vial is kind of cute, though. I have no way to shuffle or opt, so I'm not going to reveal. It just gives opponent more information, and it's not going to change anything going on with us. Then this is probably going to be Teferi bounce Thalia's Lieutenant. I'm just trying to make tempo plays at this point, since we do have a significantly stronger endgame. Also, if they end up having another land and try to double spell here, I could potentially get a counter with Counterbalance. Nope, they have 2 caverns. Nope. And a meddling mage. All right. So I think first thing to do here is Serum Visions. I don't believe I have any 3-drops that actually care about timing. Sphinx's Rev is an instant, Entreat is a miracle. So Colonnade. So I can Serum Visions now, see what I can actually draw into. Yeah, so I don't need another Counterbalance, and Cryptic is going to be a tap, but that's about it. I think I want to try to get a Terminus on their turn, because they're going to flash in Meddling Mage at instep. So I can plus Teferi, Serum Visions, draw a fresh card, see if it's a Terminus, or set up for a Terminus on my turn. So Cryptic is going to the bottom for now. Or I can leave Cryptic on the top, run out Search, and just take a beating for a turn. No, I think I want to look for Terminus. I don't know what this Meddling Mage is going to name, and that's my highest out here. So, plus, that's going to be the Serum, that's going to be the Terminus, so I can run out a tap land. And then, even if Teferi dies, his effect is static. But I'm going to be doing it in combat regardless because I can Serum Visions into an Oust or a Path and actually keep Teferi alive. Alright, that Kite Cell's making things a little more awkward. Just so hard to try to play something correctly when, like, a land counters your entire strategy and mana fixes your opponent. Alright, so bolt it to Teferi. I think I'm still going to try to trigger it. Okay, Timely won't cover it, but I don't need these lands. Opponent's also going to be holding up this Kite Cell Freebooter off the Aether Vial for a while just to make sure that we can't do anything with that Terminus. This Timely is live, though. That's pretty good. Buy us a couple of turns versus the ground forces over there. They do have a Thalia's Lieutenant still in hand. Alright. I have no way to shuffle my deck again, so again, not going to reveal. You guys are making me not have any fun tonight. Path to Exile. Alright. So opponent's trying to keep Terminus covered with the Freebooter. Little do they know we have Supreme Verdict as well as... Alright, well, this is making me sad, Panda. Opponent, are you watching? I think you're watching. So, Timely Reinforcements will give me a couple of chump blockers for the Buglers. If they end up putting in Thalia's Lieutenant on end step, that means that I get to... No. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm going to Timely Reinforcements and Search for his content. I'll be able to flip Search and then hardcast Terminus next turn. So, Timely Reinforcements. Search for his Kanta. That's going to buy me enough time to hardcast Terminus until they get another Phantasmal Image or Meddling Mage. But, like, really? Cavern of Souls? Yep, they get to restock their hand. So, hopes and dreams here, chat, is I actually draw Terminus and I reveal it. And then they look at my hand and they're like, oh crap, there are two terminuses. Yes, I'd love to reveal. Alright, so Snapcaster actually is not terrible. At the very least, it'll get me another timely reinforcements. Yep. So opponent's making a very smart play here. Can I be greedy? So if I be greedy, I can let one go through. I'll go to 18. Then I can snap timely, get an entire army of chump blockers. I'll have 6 chump blockers. Keep opponent at bay for a while and then terminus. Or I can just untap and terminus like I was originally planning on it. I'm going to be greedy. This is a unique line. I'm also expecting the Kitesail Freebooter to come in at this point. Just because he's probably getting the read that I have the terminus since I actually have 6 mana. What did I click on? Oh, it's a colonnade. Okay. That's why I was asking if I wanted to activate it. So Snapcaster could be super long term here. I can still flip, right? Yeah, I have 8 in the graveyard. So I'll draw the Snapcaster. I'd love to transform. Then I'm just doing this now because it's a 5-for-1. I mean, yeah, that works. Then I went lower on life, which means that if opponent runs out more than 1 creature, I get a snap timely. Okay. So I think opponent just did not see that line of making a land drop and terminusing. Counterbalance has just been awful tonight. I'm kind of feeling the Sphinx's rev, possibly over a Snapcaster. My only logic there is that this can still draw me a ton of cards and can potentially draw me into the one of like Urza's Ruinous Blast or something. That is actually a pretty good point. I probably should have brought in the Spreading Seas just so I can get rid of their whatever it's called. This hand is far too slow. So Kitesail Freebooter just shuts this hand down. It's really tempting. It can hit their cavern. I get a Teferi and bounce something. But I have 2 terminuses, which means this is a 5-card hand. Sorry, not terminuses, miracles. And that's 4 lands and a Teferi. Hollowed Fountain with Serum Visions, a Scry, a draw, and an oust. I'm not excited about this. I really, really need to hit my land drops off of the Serum Visions, but if I go much lower, like any card out of their hand is just going to wreck me. And I need to set up. I'm going to be taking a beating for at least a little while. This Ruinous Blast can go to the bottom. I'll be shuffling before too long, and his Kanta is just too slow. I'm probably opting for a land and ousting the champion, because champion's likely going to be at least a 3/3 next turn. All right. So I think I'm on opt. I need to hit this land drop. And I'm only on the table for 4. It's 25% of my health. It's probably going to be 5 for a third. But if I oust, I'm only on the table for 2. If I miss my land drop, I have nowhere to go. I'll just be opting for no value. Yeah, I think I'm opting in step and giving it one more turn. Seriously, opponent, now you're just showing off. And there's a Mantis Rider. Scratch that, I'm taking 8. Oh, I found a land. Oh, how greedy can I get? So if I oust the Thalia, then I take 6, probably 7. If I draw a land, I can Supreme Verdict and probably stay alive for another turn, versus ousting the champion, taking 5, then drawing into a land for timely reinforcements, being able to kill Thalia and then Supreme Verdict the following turn. Odds are they have a second legendary creature in hand. That's just how it always works out. And this has the opportunity to grow, where this is only 5 damage. This 5 damage means that I can also get a shock land and actually run it out into the timely reinforcements. Or just die here. Nope, I need a basic. A basic will keep me alive for one more turn. Alright. So, I have been dubbed King of the 2-3 bracket. We will try to make that happen. This probably should have been a Bell and Cannon after we played against the Trigger deck, the Tron deck. Yeah. So, I'm sure anybody who stuck around for any amount of this is going to realize that Counterbalance against Dredge is kind of nothing. Counterbalance versus Land Destruction is something, but a little hard to pull off. Counterbalance versus Tron is absolutely nothing. And Counterbalance versus Cavern is basically a scry in the best scenario. Alright, so this is Serum Visions to find my next land drop. Blue and white on turn 1. Search for Skanta on turn 2. Probably Teferi on turn 3. The Sphinx's Rev and the Terminus make this a 5-card hand, but it's a 5-card hand I'm kind of okay with. And we are playing against Valakut Titan. So, going to below 18 is relevant here. Sorry, Amulet Titan, not Valakut. Okay, well, that works. So, I want to put Scalding Tarn second, Terminus next. And that will be the exact reason why we always want white on turn 1. Looks like opponent might be looking for a land drop here, maybe just a bounce land. Oh, no, they're just fishing for the Amulet. Because if they actually played an Amulet off the regular land drop, they could Sakura Tribe Scout in the Growth Chamber. Why, yes, I would love to cast my Terminus against your 1-drop. Yep, so they're going to be at 3 mana, we're going to be at 2, but if I didn't get rid of this, it was going to get very bad very quickly. Then I get to draw my next land to fairy bounce whatever they're doing, or just Gideon. Gideon would actually be a real clock here. Teferi would also... No, I don't think Teferi does anything, because they basically do everything sorcery speed, but with big mana by abusing an Amulet. Hi, Azusa. Am I dead yet? I feel like I'm dead. Alright, well, they don't have more land drops. That's kind of amazing. So, they have not shown us an Amulet. My life total is also well below where it needs to be, so I'm just going to take the shock. If they have the Primeval Titan's coming down this turn. Otherwise, I'm bouncing Azusa, getting a fresh card draw, and hopefully surviving. If they just make a land drop, Amulet, Primeval Titan, I'm pretty sure we're dead. No, they'll be 2 mana shy, but it's not great. Opponent should also have a Cavernous Souls somewhere in their list, so that they can cast the Primeval Titan through counter magic, so this is losing value as time goes on. Really? Really? Okay, so apparently even Amulet Titan's playing with this. So liquid metal coating will make something an artifact, then we can't actually activate that artifact. So they're probably locking down my Teferi, potentially a land. I feel like this new card was a mistake. Yep, they stop on upkeep. One of my lands is now unusable for the turn. Did get a Field of Ruin. But I think that means that I am on Gideon. Just put a real clock out there. If this is their biggest threat, I guess I can go get Mycosynth Lattice, though. So I can't Cryptic here. Did I seriously just lose? So I Field of Ruin. They go get a basic. They have 6 mana. They just go get a Mycosynth Lattice and lock me out of the game. If I run out Gideon, I just lose the game. No, Gideon can still attack in. I just can't activate his abilities. So Gideon has to come out and just be a threat. Another legal target. Who hates the new card? Show of hands. Anyone? Sriracha, I don't think you've actually seen this yet, have you? So basically this card says, activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. And then you get a go tutor a card you own from outside the game, which is your sideboard, and put it into your hand. So what they do is they go get Mycosynth Lattice, and it makes everything that all players own an artifact, and then we can't do anything about it. Yep, so they have 6 mana. Mycosynth Lattice. So all permanents and all cards in hand are artifacts. Oh, that's a fun one. That is actually pretty bad, eh? I love that cryptic command. So I can no longer activate abilities of anything that I own. Oh, it's only $10 right now? Yeah, you need to go buy that. Then they get a chump block with Azusa. I mean, honestly, for $10, it might get banned. That might be part of the reason why nobody's buying into it, is because it is so ridiculous that it's a 1-card, 4 converted mana cost combo. Yeah, now he gets to destroy my lands. So this is at least 2 strip mines. How much is the Japanese one? Because that's going to hold a lot more value. I honestly don't understand how this is a thing. So assuming that this becomes absolutely busted like it is, $43 is probably going to fairly quickly become like 90, 100. I absolutely hate this game now. Like, it's... Bradwan, did you play it 3 times last night? I feel like you played it 3 times last night. So Dispel could be an argument to go get Summoner's Pact. Narset is going to not really do a whole lot. They don't have a ton of card draw. Terminus is too slow. Like, I'm going to trim on Terminus. It can hit a Primeval Titan if they invest all their mana into it with an amulet out. Oust is probably just bad because they'll just redraw it. All right. Spreading Sea was probably worth it. Spreading Sea would allow me to hit their bounce lands, and it would basically set them back a full turn. All right. Opponent came out strong. So I'm just going to go on search, try to set up for a little bit of a longer game. Stony Silence does absolutely nothing versus Amulet. It's a triggered ability. Opponent also didn't keep a colored source, which means they're probably on bounce land here. They're on double Amulet. Alright, so is this Karn? If this is Karn, I have a Stony Silence for him. Oh, okay, no, so we just lose here. Because they get to make 4/8 mana. I guess they're one turn off of killing us with Karn. With a turn 2 lock. A turn 2 one card combo lock. Cool, a Blast Zone. Field of Ruin off the top. Sriracha, I don't know if you'd actually want to buy 2 or the playset. I think you want 4 because it's honestly a one card combo. So this is Terminus into... Yeah, I think I Terminus here. It's not great, but... So if they run out new Karn, I'm going to put out a Snapcaster so I have an attacker. If I Stony Silence now, Blast Zone's going to hit it, so... It honestly feels like I'm going to be on Legacy for a little while if this is what Modern looks like. So they're going to transmute Talaria West. Go grab a Summoner's Pact. And I would love to draw that Cryptic. Yeah, by the way, Brad, one, this is sorcery. I have to have Teferi out to oust at instant speed. Another flaw with this deck. Alright, so opponent has the Blast Land. I'm curious, or the Bounce Land. Alright, so it looks like we get a counter draw. I probably should have paused on that a second longer. It might have been correct to actually bounce like one of their lands or an amulet so I could try to counter it on the way back down. I technically don't need the 5th land here. Odds are I'm going to draw into Teferi, but I only have Teferi that requires it. Meantime, Serum Visions. There's a path. Do not need second search. And are we here to counterbalance? Like, it's been going horribly, but are we here to counterbalance? I can counter the Summoner's Pact with a land, which they're trying to stick. I can counter Primetime with a Terminus. I can counter Amulet with like a third of my deck. I think we'll give it a shot. We're here for that. So looks like I'm passing here and potentially just dying, but oh, the Blast Zone's going to blow it up. Yes, the deck list does say counterbalance, but like, Opponent even has Blast Zone ready for my Stony Silence. Alright, opponent's going for it. Okay, that works for me. Another amulet. I feel like you'd run that out before the bounce land. Alright. So I get a counterbalance here and Stony Silence, or I just get a counterbalance. Let's see if they actually use the Summoner's Pact here. I guess I can't actually stack my deck with anything, so I've got to hold up the Path to Exile to kill the Primetime. Otherwise, we'll just get one shot. So if they just lead on Primetime, I think I try to reveal a Terminus. But Summoner's Pact means that I get to go for a land, which a lot more lands. And of course it's Serum Visions. So opponent gets to go get Primetime, they play their bounce land, get 6 mana. With the Primetime, go get Boros, bounce land, and the thing that gives Vigilance. Oh, wait, that's double strike. So haste and Vigilance. So what I need to do here is wait for them to activate mana into giving Primetime haste, then go to path it. At least this combo is a little more fun to interact with than Scape Shift. Scape Shift just feels like they're eventually going to make their land drops and you'll die. This, you can at least try to interrupt their combo in the middle of it. Yep, there's the Cavern for the counterbalance. I don't want to auto-yield to this because odds are they're going to play one and I want to bounce it with Cryptic Command. So I just yielded until their begin combat step so they can do whatever they need to. They also didn't go get the haste card. They made their land drop for the turn. That's how they paid for Primetime. The fact that they're dumping this into Giant uncounterable makes me think that they have another Primetime in hand. Or Talaria West, go grab the other Summoner's Pact. Nope, I know I have a 1-drop on top. Alright, so they're going to have to pay 10 at their upkeep. They are very confident they can kill me here. I guess 8. It's 4, 5, 6. No, they're going to get bounce lands. If I can somehow get Cryptic live, I have a Serum on top, which means that I'd have to Serum into Cryptic and a land. Wait, oh crap, I wasn't paying attention. I turned on the auto yield. They were able to give both of these haste. I was trying to do bounce land math. Alright, well, there's only 2 prime times left in the deck, so I actually kind of have a shot here. And I'm just going to F6. I have nothing else to do, and opponent can fiddle around as much as they need to. Alright, so I can Serum into Snap Path, or Snap Opt. So I think all roads start off with Serum. Dovin's Veto is quite good. That's going to be on bottom. That's going to be on bottom. If I were in a commanding position here, I needed to use that Serum Visions to stack the top of my deck for counterbalance. But I'm going to be holding up Dovin's Veto until end step, so... And then I'm probably going to run out Snapcaster for opt value. I need to hit my land drops here. Yeah, it would have been awesome if I could have just jammed Damping Sphere or something. They wouldn't be able to pay for that. But instead, we have Counterbalance. So the Karn kill's still in the back of my mind. Vigilance and Haste, that's fine. My Snapcaster's going to block him. As much as I want that, I think it has to go to the bottom. Yep, there's the Cryptic I wanted. And I got one anyway. Opponent's also running a little low on time. They have a ton of triggers that they need to keep track of. I'd love to use Counterbalance's ability. Reveal Snapcaster. Snapcaster's fine. Another issue is that when you end up taking this many lands out of your deck, you end up drawing into a lot of gas, and every single land is representing anywhere between 3 to 6 mana. Yep, you got it, opponent. Not going to worry about that one yet. Ooh. Is that just land for turn, or is that going to do something big? Apparently just land for turn. Alright, is there anything I want to do here? Don't believe so. I gotta draw that Snapcaster. Snapcaster can handle any kind of a creature that comes out, or just Dovin's Veto, assuming that we actually use this one. The double strike is going to make it so that I can't necessarily block with Snapcaster here. Alright, we revealed a Flooded Strand, which means I'm going to be cracking this one. Unless I have to Cryptic. Oh, would you look at that? Emrakul. Lovely. I don't know. Karn, Emrakul, Amulet Titan. This all seems fine. I can still counter this, right? Yep. What are the odds I have a 13 converted mana cost in my deck? Because this counterbalance is really showing some strength here. Alright, well... Oh, can't be countered because of the... I frickin' hate this deck. Alright, opponent, you get control of me. Oh, that kind of works. Sure. If I had a Teferi out, I could oust that. Alright, so tap all creatures your opponents control, draw a card. There could be an argument to bounce, but if I bounce, it just puts them in a combo lock where they can just bounce it and keep taking control of my turn. At least now they can't run my Colonnade into the Emrakul or anything like that. Yeah, Counterbalance Emrakul. I think that that's going to be the defining moment of this deck. Yep, they get to see my deck now. They also get to not get a land. Oh, apparently Shocking Me is high enough upside. They also have to run out my Snapcaster Mage and oust both that and Sakura Tribe Scout if they want to leave Emrakul on the table. Although they can just Cryptic bounce the Emrakul, and that solves so many of their problems. Oh, pro instance, they can't do that. If I was opponent, I'd probably run out the Stony Silence and Dovin's Veto it, but they might have taken out their Karn package. Counterbalance Emrakul. Seems about right for the night. And again, I'm running into the same issue where, like, if I oust, that's just coming back. I can't do anything about the cast trigger. Yep. Not sure how I feel about running out the Stony Silence. That shuts off the Karn combo for you, unless you're ahead on board state. Alright, Search for His Kanta comes down, and ship it back. Sad turn. They know about the Dovin's Veto. We're probably getting hit for 6 here. Oh, I'm F6. I shouldn't be F6. Just because they don't know about it doesn't mean I won't use it. Alright. Search, you gonna give me something decent? Oh, I knew about the Snapcaster. So I can snap Cryptic Command, get rid of the Cavern, draw a card. I can just bin the Snap and Kanta and try to find something relevant. Snap can hit Oust, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, I think we're binning Snap. Okay, that works too. Entreat the angels! I believe in miracles! So even if opponent takes our turn, we're still going to be able to kill them. Casual 20. Alright, so opponents, this is the second turn from opponent, so I think they're getting another Emrakul here. They also get to give Emrakul double strike, which means I don't think we get to kill it. Double strike, vigilance and haste, so we chump block it. It is showing some of the power of the deck that, like, we're actually kind of competing with this Emrakul, but Counterbalance is so bad. And given how things are going, they're going to as content to like a Terminus and just wipe away our angels. Okay, you say barely, but I'm looking with 20 damage on the table and opponent at 23. They're going to see the card anyway. I'm curious. It's another snap. Well, I still haven't seen trample, so we get a chump block and swing back for 16. Or odds are they're just going to run an angel into it. Oh, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have counterbalanced because now they get a set up knowing that I have a Snapcaster Mage coming. I guess they don't have any cards in hand, but that's still the case. Oh, Colonnade actually would have been lethal. Yeah, Snapcaster Mage. Assuming they oust Emrakul again? No, because then they're dead. Path. Get rid of an angel. Makes sense. Run another one into Emrakul. That leaves 12 damage on the table. If we take this game, opponent's probably going to time out. They are struggling to make the decisions. Wait, they're activating this Kanta for me? Okay. So, good out is Teferi. Jace is alright. Another counterbalance. Lovely. Alright. Let's try this. And another counterbalance. Alright, so Jace, if I bounce Emrakul, it doesn't actually do anything. I can oust it on my turn, though. Swing in for 12 and then have lethal on the backswing before they get their last card. So that actually might be a winning line there, assuming I had the land for it. Awesome. That means I need to hold up Dovin's veto just for security. Another land would be nice. As of right now, I'm chump blocking, swinging for 8. Yep. Opponent should probably be giving the plant or the Sakura Tribe Scout trample, or vigilance, haste, and double strike, then attacking with 2, it'd eat 2 angels. Vigilance, haste. Okay. Oh, does that have trample? Why does that have trample? Alright, whatever. Long game, and multiple instances of drawing counterbalance where it doesn't matter. So, yeah, his trample. I'm past caring. So, counterbalance showed so many weaknesses here. Even if this wasn't the case, where draw has 18 cards, none of which are relevant at sorcery speed, if I even change that to instant, we're basically at opt. I guess you can accumulated knowledge or whatever you need to do, but yeah, it's not a great spot to be in. Sensei's Divining Top was a really unique card. It was really well designed, but people didn't know how to play with it in a timely manner, so it made it a little rough. we had Counterbalance out and couldn't counter Emrakul. We had Counterbalance out and couldn't counter a trigger of a Creeping Chill. We had Counterbalance out and we couldn't counter a Karn. Like, the number of times where it showed that it did nothing was absolutely abysmal. This deck was very close to being something, but having 4 dead copies of a card in your deck is just awful. You need to have the paths, not the else, because if you don't have a Teferi out, he just doesn't do anything. Standard blue-white's great. I wanted to give this a shot because Teferi Serum Visions on Counterbalance felt amazing. It sounded amazing, just didn't get there. Yeah, we also felt like we played horrible matchups. Amulet Titan had Caverns, Humans had Caverns, Dredge is triggers, Tron is just big mana, and then Land Destruction. We probably would have had a shot there, but we did see a turn 3 Blood Moon / Trinisphere, or turn 2 Blood Moon or Trinisphere all 3 games. I love blue-white, though. I love this deck. There's a lot of lines, a lot of setup, a lot of things to consider. If you can read things well, it usually bodes well for you, but Counterbalance needing to have you tap out on turn 2 gets you killed in the current Modern format. I actually think our Tron opponent did kill us. I'm pretty sure they did something along the lines of, like, turn 3 Tron into Karn, and then went and got Mycosynth Lattice, and we were just screwed. But I love this deck. Not Counterbalance. Highly recommend anybody give it a shot if they can. Proxy it out. Most fun I've ever had playing a game of Magic in Modern. So to recoup, Counterbalance bad. Sigilov's bad. Brad wanted to myself put a lot of content out for this website, squirreldealer.com. Replay's going up there. If you want to give us a follow, fantastic. If not, thanks everyone for sticking around and watching. And yeah, I mean, I had fun with this one. Strong cards. Well, have a good one.